and welcome to ScotiaLIVE. I'm your host, Talia, and today we're going to be diving into a topic that affects every Jamaican, no matter your age, life stage, or income bracket, how to future-proof your finances. From wealth creation to living in financial harmony with your partner, we're going to be talking about it all. So joining me today, ladies and gentlemen, I have Amelia Dennis, Regional Sales Manager for Scotia Insurance, Tracia Woodburn Morris, Client Services Manager, Scotia Investments, and PJ Wright, Entrepreneur. Hi guys, welcome. How are you doing?
Good.
Good? So there's a lot to share on the topic, and we are going to be sharing some insightful information about it, but we do encourage you to send in those questions, whatever it may be, and we'll try to address it at the end of our session. Okay, I do want to welcome our audience who've joined us online via Zoom and Instagram Live. Welcome and thank you for joining us as well. And as I mentioned, send in those questions, and we're going to try our very best to address them at the end of our session. So let's get right into it with our investment specialist, Tracia. What do we all need to know about money management?
Hey, Talia, thanks for that question. So understanding the foundation of money management is very important. So you need to understand our master budgeting, know the difference between savings and investing, and of course, knowing the difference between discretionary spending and spending on necessities, and of course, understanding the principles of investing, that is, starting early, staying investing, diversifying your portfolio, and these are what is important to you at any age or any stage of life.
Okay, sounds very simple, Tracy, and I'm sure we're gonna, get a little bit deeper into it as we get, deeper into our conversation further along. Amelia, from an insurance perspective, now, what are the golden rules for everyone?
Well, Talia, there's really one golden rule, and that one golden rule is that everybody needs a financial plan. What goes into your financial plan is what's now important. So your financial plan, you want to think about, do I have my savings in place? Do I have an emergency fund? Do I have a retirement plan? I need to be planning, how is it that I'm going to retire? What about if I become critically ill? Can I afford to take care of those critical illnesses? These are the kind of things that we talk about. Are my assets protected? These are the things that you really need to have in your financial plan.
Okay, what about a budget? And when we talk about a budget, monthly budget versus, something for a 3-month period, is that also important as well?
Most importantly, you need to know how is it that your money that you're earning is being spent. Because yes, you're making the money, but what happens when you get that salary in your account? Are you really sitting down and thinking about what's taking care of my rent, what's taking care of my bills, my gas, my loans that I have to pay, my parents that I need to take care of, that kind of thing. So a budget is very important. You have to know how much money you're making and where you're spending it.
Definitely, Amelia. And the entrepreneur of our panel, hi PJ, how are you? I mean, some would possibly describe you as the ultimate entrepreneur. You have managed to dabble in a number of different industries. How did you even get started in entrepreneurship?
I'm just wanting the freedom. And genuinely, that's it. Wasn't something that was as planned out, but as in started in corporate, did the time I needed to do there, and then kind of just realized that what I needed to fulfill my dreams required a little bit more planning and it required a little bit more thinking bigger. And I think entrepreneurship is what worked for my goals. Yeah.
For your goals.
Yeah.
And, you've been an entrepreneur for a number of years.
Like 5.
Like 5? PJ's like, listen, don't edge me. Please don't edge me. Right? So you've been doing it for quite some time.
Yeah,
it's not yesterday. It's been coming, right? Would you say that you have some, go-to guidelines then that you've managed to stick to over the years to help you to get where you are today?
Well, for me, it might sound a little bit cliche, but it's a plan. Dream big, have a plan, work towards it, understand that you're going to have to pivot at times. Things are not going to go the exact way how you want it to go, and just understand that once you have a plan and you're working towards it, then you're never ever going to be failing. You're kind of learning from some mistakes, but you're going to keep on building on it and getting closer and closer to whatever it is that is your ultimate goal. Mine is freedom, knowing that I can manage my time and do the things that I love and things that my wife loves, more what she loves. But definitely enjoying life and making the businesses earn for me.
And work for you on your journey to wealth.
Correct.
Okay, so we've heard about, well, you touched on the tried and true principles that, you know, the foundation that where we need to get started on this journey. Let's talk a little bit more specifically about the Jamaican investor. And we need to possibly tackle them in different stages of life because, as you know, what you want when you are 20 is not possibly what you're going to want when you are 40, right? Right, not at all. Right, so you have a different perspective on life, a different outlook, and it might change again maybe when you're even 50 or 60, right? So let's start with the first age group, the 20s. You know, you're fresh out of college, you're fresh out of university, you're getting into the world of work. You might just be focused on a little bit more fun than trying, you know, to get stability and, you know, doing all those quote unquote important things that you need to do with your life.
Exactly.
So what should they know now when you're in your 20s to your 30s?
Sally, I think that financial literacy is the most important thing at this age. What you know about investing is basically what you learn from your family members or close friends, and you're basically doing what everybody else is doing. So at this stage, I think that it's important that you seek the advice of an accredited financial advisor who can guide you along this process. So this is important at this stage.
Okay. Tell me a little bit about the everyday language though and the savings, you know, saving for a rainy day and actually knowing how to budget though, Tricia. Because a lot of the times when you're just fresh out of university, you get your first job, you're possibly not thinking about the savings. You might save towards one specific thing. You're not gonna think, you're not thinking to save, oh, I need to save for an insurance. I'm not thinking to save, I need to save for a rainy day, you know, or save to
Just
you might
Friday night.
just
Friday night.
Just a Friday night or because it seems so related.
Just Friday night.
You know, you just want, or you might say, geez, I am trying to save towards a car, or you might possibly want to save to pay off some school debt, for example. So your savings are going to be a little bit different and you might not even know how to budget. You're just trying to budget your lunch money and budget the Friday night. Right? So talk to me now about what they need to know now in terms of savings and budgeting and possibly even starting their investment journey from now.
That's correct. So it's important, as I spoke about, financial literacy, and you have to now move from the stage of emotional investing and emotional savings. So you touch on having an emergency savings. You need to ensure that you have a nest egg and you'll be saving for a rainy day. Also having an emergency savings, right? Something that you can access within a short period of time. And of course, not putting all your eggs in one basket. So that is very important at this stage. So forget about the emotional spending, and I say, Peter over there, it's not about top shelf at this stage, but just settling down, seeing where you want to go. And Peter mentioned it earlier. He had a plan. He knew what he wanted to achieve. So at this stage now, you seek the advice of a financial advisor and you decide where you want to go. If you want to start early, if you want to look at long-term investments or instruments, what are your goals at this stage?
It's interesting that you mentioned seeking advice from a financial advisor, because at 20 you're like, I don't really need to talk to I'm not even making enough money to talk to anybody about anything, right? And a lot of the times when you are at that stage in your life, a lot of your financial decisions you have learned from the people directly in your life. Whether it be your parents and their perspective on money and finances, or even if you have somebody as a mentor, you know, you might take some insight from them and some guidance from them. You know, how does that affect you at that stage, and how do you then break away from that to become better? I don't know who wants to take that. I don't know if PJ, from a personal perspective.
Well, I can give you my personal perspective for sure. In my 20s, I think that was one biggest struggle, as in financial literacy. As in, it's not something that when you come out of school, you know exactly what to do, especially if you're starting to earn a little bit more and think that you actually have disposable income. It is something that I'd say, yes, definitely find somebody who you either as a mentor, as a straight up financial advisor, who can guide you on some of those decisions to make. Because the truth is that we don't know. As in, when you start earning, even if it is just your first job, you really and truly don't know. And we don't know what's going to come your way.
Yeah.
As in the hurdles, the struggles, things will pop up.
Yeah.
And for me, I learned a little bit later along the line. Made some mistakes. I had to understand how it is that genuinely you need to manage the money for the money to actually work for you. And also for you to use it within the businesses, because you can't be an entrepreneur and not be willing to invest in your own business. You can't be looking for external investors for stuff and you don't have the first investment to start it. Persons are going to look at you and say, you have no skin in the game. So
That's it.
it's great to have the ideas, it's great to build them out, but you have to have even that start.
A start.
Agreed.
And sometimes you might not get the start. I'm going to go back to that point a little bit later on, PJ, but you actually touched on something important that I want to clarify before we move on, Tracia. You touched on emotional spending, right? Especially during that time. You're a little more, as persons who put it, frivolous. So you want to just, I feel for a new, I feel, you know how Jamaicans put it, I feel for something nice.
Yes.
Especially when things don't tend to go your way. Whatever, you might get a bad grade.
Solves all problems.
Something nice solves all problems.
Yeah.
How do you then manage to, curb that emotional spending, especially during that time? What do I need to do differently?
Right.
To fix that emotional spending problem.
Discipline.
So I spoke about emotional investing and emotional spending, and Amelia mentioned it about at the age, different things happening, right? And you just said it now. You may be having a bad day. You may be going through a breakup. You may be having a divorce, whatever it is, and you just feel like you need to spend some money because you're having a bad day. Emotional investing now is that when you're reacting to the market. So, for example, in COVID, a lot of persons had stocks, and when during COVID, or even various funds during COVID, everybody quickly sell. But if they had stayed the course, stayed invested, they would have made 3 or 4 times that amount of money. So what is important is that you minimize emotional spending. We're not saying don't have a drink or don't go to one of the nice restaurants. We're saying minimize it, and we're saying stay the course, stay invested. It's going to be a roller coaster, going to feel like a roller coaster sometimes, but what is important in investing is that you stay invested and you allow your investment advisor to guide you through this process.
Okay, and they're probably saying, what are you telling me to get involved in right now, right? And I know you have something called the starter pack.
Correct.
Right, so tell me a little bit more about that, Tracia, and how it can benefit persons who are possibly watching right now, who are in their 20s, 30s right now.
So for persons within 20s to 30s, the starter pack, what would basically recommend is like a mutual funds, because with the mutual funds, they are managed by professionals. You're going into a diversified portfolio. So you're not necessarily taking on the risk of individual stocks or bonds. It's a pooled fund. So you're reducing that risk. You're having a diversified portfolio. So that is the best thing for you within that age range. Now, again, PJ spoke about the plan, right? So within the 20s and 30s, what do you want to achieve within the short term, the medium term, and the long term? In the short term, you need to ensure that you have an emergency fund.
Okay.
Because anything can happen at any time, Talia, right? So it's important that you have that emergency fund, something that you can access within 24 hours to 48 hours. And we normally say like 3 to 6 months of your salary. But start with anything that you have and build that up. So
Okay.
don't let that be a deterrent to you.
And you have a product for this.
We do have a product for this at Scotia Investments. And of course, if you speak with one of our investment advisors, they will guide you for those products. Additionally, if you want to make some sort of income, we have the income funds, right? If you want to set aside something that in the long term, you can assist with school, assist with major purchases. I just use an example. About 5 to 7 years ago, recent graduates, visited me. And at that time, the stock market was booming. And he came and he said, I want to purchase some stock, but I want to hold the stock for a month, make my money and come out. And that's why it's important for you to have a financial advisor to guide you. And I said to him, I would not recommend that you do this at this time. What is your goal? He said, I want to go on to do my master's, I want to purchase a car, I want to do all of that. So at that stage, I had to sit down because he had a long-term goal. And that gentleman, if he's watching high, he invested in stocks. And he was able to call me like a year ago. And that stock, which he held for in excess of 5 years, was able to assist him with completing his master's. So you have to determine what your goal is, and you have an advisor who will guide you and help you to determine what investment is good for you.
Okay.
So you have as I said, the short-term instruments, income instruments, and the long-term, but it all depends on your risk tolerance and your financial goal and how long you want to save for.
Okay, so we heard from the investment perspective. Amelia, talk to us a little bit about the insurance now. What do my 20 to 30-year-olds, need to know and need to look into?
So one of the things that I know young people think about when they hear about insurance is, why do I need insurance? I'm just 20. I literally just left school. But one thing I can guarantee you of is when you start your insurance at such a tender age, it is the cheapest it will ever be. It is the easiest it will ever be to get insurance because you're in the best health that you'll ever be in. So you hear about it and you think that, boy, this is not for me, but it is for you. It is ideally for you because as you get older and we go through the different stages of life, so many things happen that really changes the trajectory of your life, and that will just prevent you from accessing all of those things. The things that you need to be looking at, in addition to your insurance and starting your insurance early, is a retirement plan. And that's another thing somebody that's just leaving college would be like, why do I need a retirement plan? Like, I literally just started working.
I don't even start
I don't even collect the paycheck yet. And you want me to buy into a retirement plan. But really and truly, one of the things I hear the most from my clients when they are retiring is, boy, I wish I had started sooner, or I wish I had put in more money into my retirement plan. So the first paycheck you get, remember, you have the opportunity to invest for retirement between 5 and 20% of your income. As a 20-year-old, you don't need to be putting 20% of your income into a retirement plan, no, but start at the 5% because what you have is time on your hand, and the time value of money is a real thing. So you start in your 20s, you have the opportunity for another 40, 45 years to be saving towards your retirement, as opposed to starting in your 40s, you legit just have 25 years, if you're looking at retirement at 65. So these things you want to start as early as possible. And of course, the most important thing, your emergency funds. Put something aside. It doesn't matter how much you're earning. And Tracy spoke about this earlier. It doesn't matter how much you're earning. Put something aside. We have the rule that says 80, 30, 20, and you should be putting this amount. At this stage, don't be daunted by that. Don't focus on that. Just settle yourself that, okay, boy, I make $100,000 a month. If I put aside $5,000 a week, that can help me. I'll have 20,000 at the end of the month. And when you get into the next stage of life, now when you're looking to get your house, if you're looking to get your car, you have the opportunity to come up with that down payment because you need down payment for these things. So, these are the kind of things that you should be focused on at this time.
Right now. I mean, PJ, I'm going to rope you in right now because we heard from the experts as to, what we can do to kind of start off with the base, in our 20s and our 30s. Tell me, when did you actually start your journey? Was your 20s, you'd say, did your 20s then help to kickstart your journey into entrepreneurship, and if so, how?
It kickstarted it for sure. Was I doing what I was supposed to be doing? No, I was not. As in, like you'd have my father is a entrepreneur, businessman, and you always say, you don't need to be able to do that. You don't need to be doing that, meaning the extra stuff. Focus, just be diligent. But, you go through one ears, come out the other at that age. And I'd say that's one of the things that I wish I had taken heed to back in the day. But in the 30s was more where it is that I kind of realized that I needed to do more. I needed to grow more. And by the growth, I needed to, be able to invest. And it meant then now making a little bit more sacrifices. Okay, some people doing this, but this is what I doing, kind of thing. Did I get it perfect? Did I get it right all the while? No. But at least I know that I had a plan and there was keep on working towards it. And it's a struggle. As in, I'm gonna say, as in, I after, as in, it's about 26, I didn't have fixed income. I had different opportunities and different businesses that I were doing. Some of them failed, some of them worked, and there was constantly investing. So it wasn't like I had a fixed income. So I was always like, boy, I guess next time I'm gonna do it. But I would say this, if it is that you are in a job and you have a fixed income, make the sacrifices.
Yes.
It's one of the things that I didn't have the luxury of, was in to be able to just always know that this is going in that kitty to make sure that it's going away.
Yeah.
But I would say this to you, when you have that, look at it as a privilege.
Yeah.
As in constant income and secure income, it is genuinely a privilege.
Right. And that way you can plan accordingly and more comfortably to say, okay, for the next 12 months, safe to say I can allocate this amount to this amount to that.
Yeah.
And then, of course, you diversify your portfolio and you keep it pushing.
That's it.
And the most important is people might think that I feel scared. As in like, oh yeah, I don't have enough to do it.
No.
But as I said, just the 5,000, that it make
Just
a
get
big
started.
difference.
And you just need to get started, Salia. That's the important thing. Don't be scared.
Yeah.
And no matter the amount that you have, start. The monthly contributions, it make a big difference. Can you imagine you start with $10,000? At the end of 12 months, you have $120,000.
Listen, when I just started working, I started by saving $10,000 a month. So my first paycheck, I went down to Scotiabank and legit opened a Scotia Mint. I just heard about it and I know it was an investment tool. And I said, you know what? I'm a saver. Growing up, I was the kind of kid who would hide money, say I'm saving the money, and then I forget about it.
Me too, girl.
I can't remember where I put the money.
PJ's like, that's not me. PJ said, I'm going to remember where I put that dollar.
Listen, so I went down and I started my savings, my investments, and I put down $10,000 a month. And this is just automatically going there. And I kid you not, my Scotia Mint was the money that I use. And I'm not just saying this because I'm here, but this is the money that I use to purchase my first car.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
My first car, I could borrow the money, purchase it cash. So I didn't need to take a loan. So you might feel like, this
And
is
that's
a little
by
bit
choice.
Yes,
That was by choice.
and
Yeah.
discipline.
Yeah.
And you might think that is just a small amount of money, but trust me when I tell you that it does add up.
Over
It
time.
does.
PJ, I'm going back to entrepreneurship, right? And once we've invested or, we're putting aside some kind of money, we can do that. We can use that money, to get into entrepreneurship, even if it is that you are in your 9-to-5 job or if it is that you are in corporate, you can use that to do something else.
Explore some stuff that you like.
Explore
That's the most
and you
important.
have managed to explore, a few options. If you don't mind, sharing some of the businesses that you have currently.
Okay. So all my businesses are technically related right now, and that's by design.
Okay.
So I started off in entertainment. So entertainment with Dream Entertainment, Right Image, Exodus Carnival, and some other events that I have association with, and then went into food and beverage. Why food and beverage? It is one of the highest fail rates in business.
Yeah.
If you can make it in that, then therefore you're doing something right. And I said, boy, for me to get to the next stage, which is what I'm going to talk to, I needed to prove myself in this one. I needed to do it right. So food and beverage, I have great teams. It is one of those businesses that, unlike with events where it is that you plan, and then you get one day to execute and you do a great job and then you go to sleep. With food and beverage and hospitality, you have to do that every day. You have to be A game every day because it's a different experience for a person. And you're gonna fail.
Yeah.
You're gonna have unhappy customers. But what it gives you is the thickening of the skin that you need to be in business in this island and also to be consistent.
Yeah.
And also what it gave me is honing in on my leadership skills, understanding that I can't do everything myself. I can't be the person to cook. I can't be the person to serve. So therefore, I need to make sure that I pour into those persons for them to understand that they're a part of something bigger, as in I have big dreams, and I would love for the person who started as my server to be my food and beverage manager, to be my operations manager. I'm not one of those persons who want to kind of like, okay, yeah, you're a server, that's what you are, as in that's where you are today, as in I want to grow it. And then eventually I want to get into the hospitality of resorts, hotels. I believe that Jamaica is one of the finest countries. We are all blessed to have been born here. And I would love for everybody to come and visit our home and give them the Jamaican hospitality. And so that's my goal.
And the ultimate Jamaican experience.
Yeah.
And, you know, for somebody who might be afraid to take that next step, to take that leap of faith, because when you're investing, when you are, you know, going into entrepreneurship, it is a risk. And a lot of persons are afraid to fail. You know, a lot of persons are afraid to lose. A lot of persons are just a little bit hesitant to say, boy, what if it don't work out? You know, what if I can't do this? You know, what then would you say to someone who, you know, you're coming from your 20s, you're coming from a family of entrepreneurship to, you know, being your own boss and elevating other persons? You know, what would you say to them that would, you know, prompt them and give them that little extra push that they might just need right now to get into the next step, to invest, you know, to go and even open a Scotiabank account and put down that $10,000 a month to start somewhere to get their business started. You know, what would you say to that person right now, PJ?
So just like with all of the different options having to do with investment, business is the same thing. Start small. You start small with what you're comfortable with what you're able to lose as well. I think that's the reality, is that when you're getting into business, it's a risk, but it's a calculated risk. So you're going to go in there with what it is that I'd recommend persons to do what you're passionate about. Something that you can spend your extra time doing and you don't feel like you're really working. It's a burden. Get into something that you love. As in, we're in the age of technology now where it is that there's so much things that people are becoming millionaires, billionaires on. So look at something that appeals to you, start small, and take the chance, and be willing to take the risk. I can use an example of me personally. We built out a restaurant, and out of building out a restaurant, I ended up buying one couch.
Buying what?
I have a couch, just a couch. Just a couch with bringing it into the container. My wife said we needed a new couch for the house. I saw what it was costing online, and I said, okay. The person that was buying things from China said, can put in one of these as a sample, I'll pay for the sample. I have an ad that I run on Instagram currently that I just keep on running because I have couches that I sell. I just bring in this one couch and just constantly sell it because it works. It's something, it's supply and demand, and it was by mistake. It was just that when she ended up selling it, she said 3 because it was a minimum quantity, and I needed to sell the other 2. Those other 2, when the person's asked about it, I like this couch. Where you got it from? And then I eventually just started doing it. And it's just the same. You have to sometimes just take a chance at some things and at the same time do the stuff that you put aside stuff. Make sure that you have all of the extra savings for the rainy day, because as you know, in Jamaica, enough rainy day.
In the hurricane season.
Plan for the hurricane season. And that is genuinely it. You just have to be calculated on it. And also just follow your gut. But put away the solid stuff. I can use them as an example with the insurance. Part of one of my businesses, I had an insurance policy when I was working, just started working. I remember the person just came to me and said, you're working, you need to have insurance. And I was trying to get rid of them. I started the policy to get rid of them. But I put it it was tied to an account that was constantly being funded. So it never ever lapsed down or whatever. And then after that, I was doing some other insurance, and they said, but you know, you have this one here. When I looked at it, it was an investment one. It had money on it. And I ended up using that money to invest in something. So I understand that was knowing about it probably about 14 years after,
Yeah.
realizing
Set
that
it and
Yeah.
forget it.
Yeah, set it and forget it.
and that was something like about $2,300 or something
Yeah.
like that.
Wow,
That was
and
coming
guess what?
out
It
of it.
sounded like it started from you were in your 20s and then it helped you when you were probably in your 30s.
That's
Right?
right.
So moving to the next stage now, right? When you get into the 30s stage, between the 30s and the 40s, your life completely changes. A lot of the times persons say you go through a little semi-midlife crisis because you realize that you need to get your life together, you know? We're talking about the big ticket items. We're talking about the important things and life starts lifing, you know? We're talking about kids, right? I mean, I'm just saying, I just had my baby, for example. I just get married, for example. So we're talking about marriage. We're talking about babies. We're talking about buying the house. We're talking about potentially getting your first car or changing your car because you said, boy,
Yeah.
the little car now work again, and the family start expand,
Yeah.
right? And then we're talking about all these big ticket items. So, Tricia, talk to me now about accumulating wealth at this point of your life and also protecting your life assets at this time. You know, how do we do that?
All right. So that's a very good question, Salia. And at this stage, as you said, life starts lifing. So at this stage, you have to reflect on your existing investments that you did in the 20s. And you have to look on whether is this working for me? So you're going to meet with the investment advisor, determine what are your goals. Major purchase. Is it going to be a property? No, you need to start thinking about college for your kids, right? It might sound like you say you just have your baby, you can just imagine. My daughter is like 15, and I remembered yesterday when she was 1. So it's the earlier you start, it's the better. You understand? So you need to just look at what your financial plan is, where you want to go, and PJ spoke about it. Do some pre-authorized monthly contributions that automatically comes from your account, right? So you don't have to worry about the hassle of, I have to go into investments to do this. You understand? So start saving for these major purchases and even for down payments, whatever it is. So look at where you want to go, look at the path that you want to take. Speak with your advisor. You determine what are the amounts that you can afford on a monthly basis. If you can do a lump sum from a bonus that you got, whatever it is, and start planning for these major purchases. Start planning for your family, whatever it is that you need to do at this stage.
I know that persons would want to possibly, look at getting some extra income to supplement whatever additional expenses that they may have right now.
Correct.
And investment can help with that.
Definitely. So you can, if you want income to supplement your current, like for example, like PJ who has so much other business, right? And you want something, we do have some fixed income instruments that can help you. So you're not only relying on one avenue, but you're relying on different avenues. So you can have different bonds, which give you a fixed return on a quarterly basis. And this can help to assist you with all of these expenses.
Okay, and what about the budgeting aspect of it? What I'm budgeting for when I'm 20 is not what I'm going to be budgeting for at 30.
Definitely.
You have real bills now.
It gets real.
It gets real, right? So in terms of budgeting efficiently to ensure that everything is covered, but we still have something, something additional that's left there. How then can we do that by investing?
So again, I speak of the emergency fund and I speak of doing the monthly contribution, looking at where you want to go, speaking with your advisor, ensuring that you're taking the risk that you can manage at this time, you can handle at this time. Looking at your time horizon, seeing if you want a long-term instrument, see if you want to go into something like for stocks, for example, right? And this is at the stage where you talk about major purchases, if you want to go to additional business, whatever it is. So start now. I remember a gentleman came to me and he was in his close to 40s and he already had a business. So he started out early, but he was like, Tracy, I need to do something else, right? But right now I do not have the finances to do it, so I want to start. And we looked at a portfolio for him. We looked at a diversified portfolio. So this is also very important. Not only putting everything in one basket, but looking at putting in different baskets. So you put in some cash, you put in some income and some stocks, which are long term. And then you're also mitigating against the risk of having everything in one instrument. So when the gentleman came to me, he said, this is what I want to do. I want to start another business, but right now I don't have the capital. And I told him, let's start with a diversified. So we'll put some in stocks, we'll put some in bonds, and we'll put some in emergency fund just in case anything happened to him. And can I tell you, that man was able to come back to me again after 7 years and was able to go into another line of business from the income that he earned from the stocks alone.
From the stocks alone.
From the stocks alone. He did not have to touch the emergency fund, and he did not have to touch the income fund. The stocks alone was able to turn over and help him to go into a different type of business.
Well, I know, I'm sure we're talking about a lot of, big ticket items in our lives right now. We also have to protect them.
Yeah.
And a part of protecting them is insurance.
Yes.
So Amelia, talk to us about some of the things that we would possibly need to look into or look at right now when we're talking about protecting our assets at this stage of our lives.
So at this stage, Talia, this is the point where yes, we had a little critical illness plan going. Yes, we started our retirement savings, but no, like you rightly say, we would be looking at a car, looking at a house, looking at your education savings for your kids. So once you get, for example, your home, you want to make sure that your home is protected. And you don't only protect your home by putting an insurance in the event there's a hurricane and the roof is blown off, you can repair the roof. But you also want to ensure, like I said earlier, that if it is that something should happen to you, you don't have to worry about your family not having that home anymore.
Right.
If you have an expensive car, you want to make sure your car, not only the car insurance, so that if you run into an accident on the road, but your car loan is protected through insurance. In the event something happens, say, for example, it's a critical illness, you can take care of your critical illness with the critical illness that you plan that you had earlier. But now the car payment can be fully paid off from your insurance.
Right.
So with this, you don't have to be thinking, boy, I need to go to the doctor to do this test, but I don't have the car anymore. So thankfully I had the critical illness plan and I can take care of the medical bills, but now I have to be taking a taxi. Can you imagine being sick and having to be taking a taxi when you were used to going in your own private vehicle before? So your family still has that level of comfort. And these are the kind of things that you want to do to protect it. Your assets must be protected. Your income must be protected. Your child's education must be protected. Like we say, it doesn't matter how soon it is, from the day the baby is born, set up an investment plan. It don't matter how small, because by the time they reach 18, the beauty about having this all is, like PJ, the child probably decide, and we're in that era now where everybody wants to go into their own business. If they decide that they want to go into their own business and they're not going to be going to college, that's fine. But you can say, hey, guess what? I'm giving you this money as a start in your business, and I'm sure that's something your child would really
make a
appreciate.
difference.
Actually, you said that, Amelia, because I had a client who came into me recently too, and he was saving, and he said to me, so Tricia, I've been saving this money, and my daughter wants to purchase a property, and I'm going to take this money. And he was surprised with the amount of money, and he was doing these monthly contributions. He was surprised with the amount of money that he gained over that period of time. He was able to give his daughter that deposit for her property.
Wow. I think, PJ, you wanted to chime in.
No, and I was just, no, it's okay.
No, because as you rightfully say, protecting your assets, but starting from somewhere earlier, the better is always important. But what I am hearing right now is just additional bills on top of the bills that I already have, right? So, for example, we talk about mortgage, you tell me I have to protect the house. We talk about the car, I need to insure the car. I have emergency fund, I need critical illness. You talk about the baby, I need to start the education. You see much things I start already, and I don't finish it up, right? All I'm hearing is just additional bills, and I'm sure that my viewers are also saying, Talia, you just hit the nail on the head. So, how can you help me to offset, some of these costs without me feeling like I am drowning in all of this?
See, that was exactly where I was at. I was just like, more bills. I mean, like, for me, as an entrepreneur, I'm personally like, that's just more bills. But again, they have the key to unlocking the extra income.
I'm gonna say, guys, breathe. It's gonna be fine. It's gonna be fine. It's important at this stage that you limit discretionary spending, right? Remember the 50-30-20 rule, right? And there are some guidelines that you need to know at this stage, right? So don't be anxious. Scotia Investments and Scotia Insurance have you covered.
We get you.
So, got you. So what I would recommend is that you get a diversified portfolio.
Okay.
Look, and I keep on mentioning it, look at going into bits and pieces of little things, right?
Okay.
Some income, some cash, some equities. And of course, with that, you mitigate against the risk of investing in only one thing. I would also suggest look at, you spoke about it, supplementing your income, right? Because people will say your 9 to 5 don't make it. That is something that is we can discuss, but it's important that you look at supplementing your income on a monthly basis. So look at some income instruments, look at some bonds, whatever it is. Look at some short-term instruments, and Scotia Investments have a number of top performing funds.
Okay.
Right, that you can invest in to help you to supplement your income on a monthly basis. And of course, you can speak with one of our advisors who can guide you along this process. I would say what is important here too is your emergency fund. And this is so relevant at this stage because we can never tell what can happen. I use my personal experience. My grandmother recently started early stages of dementia. And you know that is more medical expenses upon medical expenses. And this emergency fund was able to assist with some of those medical expenses, right? And this is something that you're not prepared for.
Yeah.
But having an investment plan helps you.
Yeah.
Having a diversified plan helps you
Long
for these things that you don't even know is going to come up.
Yeah.
Right? So guys, I just say diversification is important, having an emergency plan, and do the monthly contribution. That will help to alleviate some of the stress of having to go into the bank. I know persons don't like to come into the bank. Set it automatic.
Right, and you might just forget about it as well. Let's hear from our seasoned entrepreneur. You know, during your 30s, PJ, how did you, I should ask, did you use any like formal investments to prepare for those highs and lows of entrepreneurship? And, you know, what did you do in terms of your plan when life just kept lifing? You know, you were just going and going, you're doing your businesses, you want to do more, you want to earn more, you want to get this freedom in every aspect of your life. But did you get any kind of formal assistance then to help you with the highs and the lows that came with entrepreneurship during your 30s?
Yeah, as in definitely, as in making yourself attractive to financial institutions is a good thing. As in having these policies, having these plans opens up the facilities of loans. And definitely, I've always been able to tap into that for businesses because you're not going to be able to always get external, meaning your family is not going to always be able to support, friends are not always going to be able to support, and you're not going to be in your 30s that attractive to somebody to say, hey, I'm taking up my investment money to invest in you.
Yeah.
So during those days, I can tell you that was what was a big help for me in some of my good and not so good ventures.
COVID, for example.
Yeah.
How did COVID treat you, and how did you manage to pivot during that time?
That was my very big pivot in time because, as you know, entertainment was
lockdown
completely.
Yeah.
Restaurants were a little bit less active. But what it did for me is I got more into the business. So I actually understood better the businesses that I had invested in. And then also I started another business that was more in tune to what was the time. So I have always been that kind of person where it is that keeping my ear to the ground and also being a lot more adventurous with my investments. I wouldn't necessarily tell everybody to take my approach.
Yeah.
Because that one has worked for me because I genuinely am very passionate about what I do and I pour into what I do.
Right. So your risk tolerance might be a little bit higher than the person.
Positivity is high. I'm positive. But I can do that because I genuinely love what I do.
Yeah.
And I think that persons who have now started investing in some of the things that I'm doing, they see that. Mm-hmm. So that doesn't come in the early 30s. That came in the late 30s, where it is people are like, okay, cool.
I thought you said it was
what you doing? Huh?
Like I just said 5 years.
Future tense.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah, so with that, the persons get to see what you're about, and then they kind of say, okay, I am attracted to what this person is doing,
Yeah.
and I want to hitch my wagon because I see that this is a good investment for me.
Okay.
So you have to make yourself attractive as an entrepreneur for people to want to invest. But before that, no matter what it is, you have to be able to do that yourself.
Right,
If you can't do it, then therefore
nobody else is
gonna
going to do
become.
it. Yeah. So now we've talked. We actually spoke about the 20s, 30s. Now we're into 40s now. What do we have here, Tricia? Because by now you should actually have, most things, streamlined, most things, under control. You've started a lot of the things that you've mentioned already. So yeah, what do we need to do now according to plan and the plans that we do want for our lives?
Right. So at this stage, looking at your portfolio, and you can't take as much risk as you can when you were 20 or when you were 30. So again, you have to review your portfolio, right? So you can't go into any high risk instruments anymore. You have to look at the more conservative risk. And what is very important at this age is emergency fund, right? Because then you may have kids going off to college if they're not already in college. You may be looking at purchasing another property, which can be used to supplement your income too. So there's a lot of things happening. So then you need to go in and speak with your investment advisor, see what instrument can I invest in that can supplement my income, that is not extremely high risk, and that can help me with these financial goals that I now have. And now you've been nearing retirement, so retirement income is also important. So again, you can look at instruments such as bonds, right? Because bonds gives you a fixed return on a quarterly or every 6-month basis. So these, and remember, you have various type of bonds. So you have government bonds, or you have sovereign bonds, or corporate bonds. So these are things that your investment advisor will guide you along. So you're not on your own. So don't feel like you're on your own. The investment advisor and Scotia Investments have accredited professional advisors who will help you along this process. And again, I cannot say this enough. At this age, an emergency fund is very important.
That sounds very solid, Tricia, but I know that at this age, you're also responsible for a lot more things. I spoke about all the bills, right, earlier, but a lot of the things that, you still want to achieve certain things. You have children taken care of, some persons have siblings taken care of, some persons have parents taken care of, while it is that you're still just trying to work and make things work for you. So how do you then manage on starting a business at this point in time, if it is that you're interested in doing that, still manage to be investing, but also securing the funds for the retirement at this stage of your life? Amelia, I'm going to throw that question to you.
Sure. So Talia, at this stage, it's all about reassessing. So all of those things that we would have done in our 20s and our 30s, when you get into the 40s, this is the time when you want to reassess. Because as you know, your needs change over time. So now you would have kind of settled down. Your income would have grown through experience. You would have probably gotten a promotion, making more money, have more disposable income. So now you're looking back at everything you have and saying to yourself, okay, do I actually have enough funds available to take care of the daily things that I'm doing? Do I actually have enough insurance that will ensure that when I get closer to retirement, I don't want to have to be worrying about how much it is that I'm paying for my mortgage? At this stage, you can rewrite your mortgage and bring down the monthly payment to ensure that you have more disposable income in your pocket. You want to be looking at the money that you were putting into your retirement plan. Remember, we had said you can do up to a maximum of 20%. At this stage, you look at it and say, did I actually increase from that 5% over time? Am I in a position now where I can actually put that 20%, because this is where you want to pour into your retirement fund? And you can also supplement your retirement fund by having an investment. And PJ spoke about it earlier, where he said that he would have had an insurance, thought it was an insurance, just trying to get rid of the person, only to realize it's insurance with investment. And that's what we do at Scotia Insurance. It's not just about having a protection plan and God forbid something happened to you. That's when the benefit is there. You have the benefit that is growing along the way. So we ensure that your money is working for you. So when you get to that stage, this is money that you can use to pay down the mortgage. This is money that you can use to start that additional business. This is the money that you can say, okay, I have my parents that I need to look at their retirement plan because their bills now are my bills. They say it's twice in your life you're a child, right? When you were born and when you get older. And so you become the parent of your parents. And so you want to make sure that you're looking at everything, assessing your income and your expenses and seeing where can I bring this down so that I can bring it up on
As
this
well.
other side.
I mean, PJ, it's big people time now, right?
Remember, I'm still young.
You're still young, all right? So as an entrepreneur and, someone who, almost reached the 40s, right? How are you getting ready for this?
Well, having to do with the entrepreneurship part, as in this would be where it is that you're, as you just said, less risky. You're not taking as much of the big risk. You're hoping that what it is that you have started is in its mature stages. The people that you have invested are also invested in, are also in their security of being a part of your team, and just continue pouring into them. As in, genuinely, it is the time not to be as risky. The risks that you're taking would be from the business side, the ones that are so calculated that it is only profit.
Yeah.
That would be what it is for me.
Yeah, I totally get that. And there are some Jamaicans, you touched on parents, you touched on children. They're caught in the middle because, as you mentioned, they're taking care of kids, they're taking care of parents, they're trying to build on themselves as well. Amelia, how can they then manage their finances without burning out or going into debt? Because we touched on, when I listed out the things a while ago, I almost listed out the two of my hands, right? In terms of the bills and expenses that we would have right now. And I never factor in the parents, I never factor in a few other things, right? So tell me now, how can you manage the debt that you would possibly be facing right now and, not get burnt out or even just exhausted and anxious?
Talia, one of the most important things, and we're speaking about financial wellness, but we have to pause and think about our actual health.
Yes.
Your health is your wealth. You really have to take the opportunity to think about, okay, when was the last time I did a full checkup? When was the last time I did some of the most important checks that you need to do? How am I eating? What is my lifestyle like? Because this is the time when you will realize that if you weren't doing this before, when you could have been diagnosed as a pre-diabetic, you are now a diabetic because you never stopped to look at it. When the cholesterol level was getting a little high, you never really paid attention to it, so you could have prevented those things. So if you didn't do it before, just do a full check. Make sure that you know exactly where you stand in terms of who you are as a person, your health, all of that, the wellness, the whole person. Look at that first. Because a lot of times we put a lot into other people and we don't pour into ourselves. So start there. So that helps you now to de-stress. Because when you're less stressed, then you're able now to balance all of that. But what's most important after you're doing all of this now is saying to yourself, when was the last time I took a break? Take your breaks, take regular breaks, because this is what's going to bring the stress levels down so that you can again maintain a good bill of health.
Right.
So once you're taking the breaks now, the stress levels are coming down, you look back at it and say, okay, now let's look at the goals. Like we said earlier, we're looking at mommy's groceries every month, not just mine. We're looking at the fact that, okay, my child is going into university. How have I planned for that? Have I put enough money into the education plan that I have for them? It's just about balancing things. And trust me when I tell you, it's not as difficult as it sounds. I know you talk about just counting and you keep counting, but at the same time, you need to just ensure that you're putting you first and take a break. We live in such a beautiful country that people come from all over the world just to enjoy what we have. So sometimes just go out in nature. It doesn't have to be expensive, to do wellness for you. It doesn't have to be like a big trip to Europe kind of thing. Right. You can just go over to Portland, go down to Negril, just relax yourself and bring your stress levels down.
So you spoke about bringing down the stress levels, wellness, also, looking at your finances as well. Debt consolidation during this time. How important is that? That's very important.
That is one of the most important things, because this is what's gonna now free up money for you to do additional things. So say you had a mortgage, when you rewrite your mortgage and consolidate those expenses, it means that you have extra money. So at this time, remember, we're planning for retirement, and not everybody wants to be an entrepreneur. So when you're getting into retirement now, you have to say to yourself, okay, I can actually get a piece of property that I can run an Airbnb from. I can have a piece of rental property that is going to give me some additional funds. So it's no longer about me spending, it's about me earning
as
and
well.
making my money work for me.
And PJ, I want to hear your 2 cents on this aspect of it, because as an entrepreneur, how do you do that, business, life, wellness balance? Because sometimes it is hard, especially when you're an entrepreneur, you have to be hands-on. You have to be there. Yes, you're guiding your team and you're pouring into your team, but you also have to be present, right? So, how do you manage that?
So, I realized that when I turned 40. Actually, I realized how important the wellness and the health part of it is. As in, for those who know me before, I'm half of who I was back in the day. And that is because it's very important to understand. And I said, a team. If your team see you're not taking care of yourself, that means that tomorrow you probably might not even be here. So what is it that they're investing in? So when you see somebody who, not saying that everybody needs to be 100, 150 pounds.
Or gym buff.
Or gym buff. But you have to be intentional in what you're doing, what you're consuming, how you're consuming it, and also as in what activities you're doing, because the people who you are actually trying to lead, they're looking at it and saying, okay, but this person is not going to be here for the next 2 years. So that's one of the things that I realized in my 40s, and I knew that I needed to change that, not just for me, that wasn't me is the important one, but the longevity and the quality of life for sure, because it's in not getting easier, as in everything is literally downhill at this point.
But
make the best out of it.
And making the best out of it, we also have to include in our financial plan, something that will allow us to enjoy life.
Correct.
Right? So, I mean, we talk about investments, we talk about insurance. Yes, persons might be working corporate or you might be an entrepreneur, but we still want to do all of this, but we still want to enjoy ourselves, right?
Coincidentally, you said that, Sally, because I personally save for my vacation.
Okay.
I do a monthly contribution, and every year, my birthday is coming up, that savings is towards my birthday trip.
Okay, and you choose where you are going, and you're intentional about it.
Intentional.
So you create your budget. That's the first thing that you do. You say, okay, I want to go to Spain or Greece, or even if it's Ocherios, I want to go there, right? I want to go to Negril. I want to go to a nice all-inclusive hotel for 5 days, 4 nights, whatever it is. I know where I want to go, and I start working towards that by creating a budget first of all.
Correct.
Okay, and then what else can I do to ensure that I enjoy life with all of these, responsibilities? I'm not going to call them bills. With all of these responsibilities that I have, after we create the budget, what else do we do? In terms of avoiding, you mentioned the discretionary
spending.
You
need to avoid that. And you need to look at some of your high interest loans or credit cards and try paying them down at this time.
Okay.
You don't need all of those baggage at this point, all right?
Okay.
So look at the discretionary spending, limit those, pay down the high interest mortgages, high interest loans, high interest credit cards, and focus on where you want to go.
All right. So we create the budget, we cut down on some of that discretionary spending, and we have some kind of financial piece as well with the emergency fund that just in case something happens, I never just shell down the whole of the money, right? I have something for just in case, and you touched on the financial wellness. We're going to go to the Q&A, but I have to hear from PJ in terms of how you plan, right, to enjoy your enjoy yourself.
My enjoyment?
Yeah.
Work? I joke. I definitely plan for my vacation.
Okay, you plan vacations too.
I believe in travel. I believe that you need to explore the world. As in, I don't want to hear anybody say that they don't have no visa. There are places that you don't need a visa to go to. We need to travel. We need to experience what other cultures are. these things are the things that open our mind and make us appreciate and even love where we live.
Yeah.
So I would say that to persons, well, what it is that you plan for it, and it's not a situation where you just jump on a plane with the $150,000 on your credit card and think that you're going to be living the best life.
Raffin.
Right. Plan for it, and it is an investment into yourself.
And that's important as well. I know we have a few questions coming in online. So the first question at It's Jody and Johnson on Instagram: how do I set up this emergency fund?
So one of the things that you can do to set up your emergency fund is automatically, when you get paid, have a transfer from your savings account into an investment tool. So, for example, your insurance that gives you investment returns, that is perfect. Tricia has the investment products where if you want a particular stock that you want to invest in, you can put the funds there. Or as simple as just making sure from the pay account to a savings account, $5,000 on the 15th of every month when I get paid, or the 25th of every month when I get paid, this money is going over. And you have to have the discipline to leave that money there, see it there, and know that it's for my future self. But if you can't, and I know not everybody is as disciplined, then you now have the opportunity to put it away in those investments that I spoke to about earlier. So there's a little bit of something for everybody.
Okay. Sometimes out of sight, out of mind is good.
And I'm happy you said that, Talia, because the emergency fund cannot be the money is in your savings account.
Okay.
You have to separate.
Out of sight, out of mind.
Correct.
Okay, for the just in case, then I can draw back on my memory. All right, more questions coming in. Do I need a will if I don't own anything major?
One of the most important reason for getting a will is because you want to state how your assets should be allocated should you not be around. So it's important to have a will, but it's most important to have a will when you do have assets.
Okay. Any more questions? I know we do. We have quite a few. Let me see here. What's a realistic investment strategy for someone juggling student loans, kids, and a mortgage? I counted them off, and if you include the student loan.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, PJ mentioned it. It's not a one-size-fits-all thing, right? So I would recommend, I'm not going to give you an instrument or investment. I would recommend that you go in and speak with an investment advisor. Let them guide you along the process. What is your budget? How much are you spending on this mortgage? How much do you need to support your kids? And they will define or set up a portfolio that is right for you.
Okay. All right. We have more questions as well. Yes, we do. All right. What's a realistic investment strategy for someone juggling? Oh, we just answered that question. Okay, more questions coming in. Mark from Zoom, are there investment options with Scotia for someone new to investing?
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
There are many options for someone investing new. And again, Scotia Investments has a number of professional, educated, smart investment advisors who will guide you. And we have a number of products. It depends, again, on your financial goal, your time horizon. So it's not, again, a one-size-fits-all.
Go in.
Speak with an advisor and they will tell you. But of course, we do have products for somebody who's just starting out.
Brand new.
Brand new.
I have a question. So somebody has $30,000 that they can invest each month. Is that something that Scotia can facilitate, or is it that we'll need to be looking at more money? As in, I know that there's a lot of people, they get very
Daunted by
daunted
Yeah.
by it and saying, I don't want to go there and go embarrass myself.
No,
Oh God, $10,000, sorry, when you have some more money, come back to me. I know a lot of people want to.
No, not at all, not at all. And that's a very valid question because a lot of persons really do think about that. So the beauty about the options that we have is that it's tailored, and that's why Tracy would have said, come in, speak with your insurance advisor, speak with your investment advisor, because this is where we're going to have that discussion with you, find out what are your needs. Not what are the products that we offer, but what are your needs. How can what we have to offer be tailored? Yes, man.
How can you meet your client or your potential client?
Meet you where you are.
Meet you where you are.
Exactly.
Okay, I heard that another question is coming in. Lisa from Zoom, how do you start over at 55? All my investments have gone into care and final expenses for my late parent. What are the first 3 steps now?
And it's never too late to start. A lot of persons think that it's
Yeah.
never too late to start. You'll be surprised at what you can achieve at 55 years old, right? So the first step is go in and speak with an advisor. What can you afford now at this stage? Where do you want to go? What's your goal? Is it that you want to supplement your income now? Well, she has used up all of her income, so she needs funds. What can you afford to do on a monthly basis? And again, the investment advisor is so important at this stage. Especially when you're starting over, we can guide you through that process and help you to achieve your goals.
Okay.
One thing I would add to that, Talia, is for a person who would have spent up your funds on these kind of expenses, one thing that jumping out at me right now is, do you, Lisa, have an insurance plan? Because this is something that will not happen to the generation after you. So your kids will not be in that situation. God forbid something happens to you where all their savings would have been wiped out in a scenario like this. So that's why it's really important. One of the 3 things that you'd want to do is to have an insurance plan set up for yourself.
Okay, wow. I think we're out of time. But I know that this was a jam-packed session with lots of information, and I know our viewers really, really enjoyed the conversation. So, Tracia, Amelia, PJ, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you.
For sharing your insights, your knowledge, your expertise. It was a pleasure speaking with you and having you here. And I'm sure that, we'll want to have you guys back here to continue the conversation someday.
Certainly.
All right, guys. So thank you so much for joining us. Of course, we've come to the end of our Scotia Live today. But of course, remember that the financial choices that you make today will, of course, help, to guide the future that you want for tomorrow. So that's it from us here for Scotia Live. Stay with us. We will have more coming your way. But thank you so much for joining us. Have a good evening, everyone.